Hello, so welcome to another reading vlog. I'm about to film a video, like a proper sit down video, non-vloggy video, for the first time in I think about 3 weeks, nearly 3 weeks, because Easter I got sick and now it's 2/3 of the way through the month and I haven't really read hardly anything. Maybe that's not true. I think maybe I've read a few things off my TBR, but I still have a lot more to read. And I did actually try to start a vlog a week ago and I talked about all my reading plans for the week and I was super optimistic. Talked about 1 million books and I didn't read any of them, so I've scrapped that vlog because I then never had the energy to film anymore for the whole week. Still, this week I'm feeling slightly better. I'm trying to ignore the fact that every time I Google how long you might be tired after having shingles, a lot of the results say it can go on for quite a while. But regardless, this week I am going to try and do some reading, but I'm just going to tell you about my plans like day to day. I'm not making any grand plans for the week because I just have my doubts about my ability to follow through on any plans at the moment. So firstly, I have been listening to the audiobook of The Lying Game by Ruth Ware. So I'm 25% through it. This is about a group of girls, and when they were at this boarding school, they played this game where they would try to convince people to believe all sorts of different lies, and they would give each other points depending on how good the lies were and whether people believed them or not. So we're skipping back and forth between that timeline when they're at school and also this one where they're adults, and one of the girls has basically sent out a message saying, "I need you," to all the other girls, and something has gone wrong and it seems to link into the lies that they were telling when they were teenagers. So I do really like the friend group. There's definitely some suspicious things going on with some of the girls, but I'm looking forward to learning all about it. And I just think I quite like Ruth Ware's writing style. I'm trying to think if I've actually read anything by Ruth Ware before. I thought I had, but I can't actually think of anything, so maybe not. Anyway, I'm going to continue listening to that. I do have to go into the office for the next 3 days, which might kill me, but at least I should get through some audiobook. As well, tonight I'm going to try and read some volumes, maybe just one, maybe more, of Giant Days. So this is a graphic novel series all about these 4 girls who are at university. I read volume 4 last week and basically they'd started their 2nd year at university. They were struggling to find affordable housing, just continuing to have love dramas. They entered a film festival. Honestly, not much really happens and it's all kind of silly, but for some reason I just really love this series and I've been enjoying reading my way through it. Quite a few volumes and I have my hands on all of them for this month. So I guess we'll see how many I can get through. But also, even though they're graphic novels, they still do take some amount of time and energy to get through. What I am realizing from having been sick is that even reading can take a lot of energy when you're tired. And with that in mind, I had best go and try and film this other video before I run out of energy again. Hello, so as expected, a week of going into the office kicked my ass. So it's now Friday. I do have today off because this afternoon I am going to my infusion. In fact, it's already the afternoon and I should be leaving kind of now, but I'm not. I'm talking to you. But I thought I would update you on my reading. So luckily I was commuting, so I did manage to get a decent amount of audiobook listening done. So I did finish off, what's it called? The Lying Game by Ruth Ware, and I really enjoyed it. I really liked the friendship dynamic of the friends that were involved in this drama. And I will say, like thrillers, there's always kind of a mystery going on and it's trying to mislead you. And at one point I started thinking, oh, this is just way too obvious what's actually going on. But I was not entirely correct. I was somewhat correct, which is good. So there were clues you could pick up on, but it didn't pick up on everything. So that was cool. So I thought it was an enjoyable reading experience and the ending was pretty satisfying. There are a few things maybe that I didn't like, but it's impossible to talk about any of them without spoilers. That's the difficulty with talking about thrillers. After that, I did also start reading Clara in the Sun by Kazuo Ishiguro? Is that his name? I think so. Anyway, here's the author of Oh my god, my memory does not work today. What is that called? Never Let Me Go is what it was called. Also, look at my terrible grays. And I really liked that. So I think I'm about 20% into Clara and the Sun. So it's all about these artificial friends. They call them AFs that people buy for these children. And we're following one particular AF as she's waiting in the store hoping to find a friend and be bought. She has actually just been bought, but there's something going on with the girl that she's the best friend of, the artificial friend for, I guess. Also, like, just it's told from her perspective, and there's a lot of stuff she doesn't really understand, but she's always trying to figure it out. So it's quite an interesting perspective. I would say this is one where the audiobook narration isn't quite narrating it in the same tone that I think I would read it, and so it's a little bit annoying. Like, it's not such terrible narration that it's pissing me off, but I do wonder if I would be having a different experience if I was reading it physically. Anyway, I'm enjoying it well enough, and I think when I drive over to my infusion I will listen to a bit more of it, although maybe not too much, because I have also started listening to music in my car again and like singing along, which I used to do a lot of, but since I've been listening to audiobooks I've been doing less of. But actually I think it's quite good stress relief to do sometimes, so I might decrease my amount of audiobook reading a little bit and do a little bit more listening to music. Anyway, as well, the other thing that I have been reading is I've been reading Giant Days, so not these ones. I read all the ones that I had on my iPad, and I've just been really loving that series. I don't know, it's just, I think, like a really good representation of university experience and all the things you're learning about relationships and living life, and it's just really relatable even as an adult who's been out of university for years. Next up I will be reading these three, and then I've put a hold at the library for the next 4, which I think is all the ones that have been released. But I think if you want a really like light-hearted graphic novel about the university experience with like friendships and romance and also just some like extra ridiculous things, this is not a bad series, and I will be continuing it this week for sure, this weekend probably. I haven't decided what book I'm going to take to my infusion. If you've watched my vlogs before, you know basically my infusion is just me sitting in a chair for 3 hours, and so technically I could get lots of reading done while I'm there, but also I don't usually. It's just I'm not good at focusing for that long on a book. So part of me wants to take this one and finish it off, however it's too big to put in my bag, and so I'm probably not going to take it. I think what I'm going to do is take this one, so Cousins by Patricia Grace. I did actually start this just before I got sick. I read like 50 pages and that's all I've read. So this is a story written by a New Zealand author. It's about these 3 cousins who get separated and then as adults they come back together. They're all Maori girls, but they've all kind of got quite different experiences. So the first 50 pages that I read was kind of in 2 timelines. Part of it is this girl when she's older and she's obviously very down on her luck and struggling, and she's basically just walking through the night trying to find somewhere to stay. But the other storyline is her when she's younger, and her mother died, I think, and so her father has sent her off to live in this home, and she's being raised by these white people, I think by the Catholic Church, and they're teaching her all about God, and she's got all these ideas in her head about what life is meant to be like. So now she's been sent to stay with her grandparents who are actually away, so instead she's staying with her auntie and their family, and she's got in her head this idea that her grandparents are going to want her to stay, but she's also got in her head this idea of what her grandparents' place would be like based on her friend's grandparents, and I think she's going to be disappointed. So far she's staying with her auntie and their house is really tiny and they don't really have much to live on, you know, they're kind of living in poverty. It was really interesting to read because for me, having grandparents who live kind of in rural New Zealand and, well, maybe not living in poverty, they definitely weren't the richest. So my nana and granddad's farm has things like newspaper used for a tablecloth, and so I guess it was weird because this girl is going back to stay with her family and it's all very foreign to her. She doesn't understand it, even though it's her family, so it should be more relatable to her, but in actuality me as the reader doesn't find it as strange as she does, which I'm not sure is how everybody would read this. But anyway, I did enjoy the beginning of it and I'm looking forward to continuing it. This has actually just been released as a movie, which I'm excited to watch, but I wanted to read the book first, so I'm going to try and get this read maybe this weekend. Maybe. Hello. So I meant to be vlogging a lot more than this, but somehow it's the next day. I have, though, been somewhat productive, so yay for me. Although I've also watched the first half of the first season of Shadow and Bone, which got released yesterday. But I do promise I was productive at the same time as watching it. And I'm really enjoying it, actually. I think the TV show is kind of taking the story and making it better. I think Shadow and Bone, or the Grishaverse, was Leigh Bardugo's first books, or at least her early works. So she's improved a lot as a writer since then, and of course with TV they bring in a bunch of writers, so I think it's not surprising that they've really improved on the story. Also, there was a goat, which I really appreciate. And I'm really liking Jesper's character in this, actually. I didn't like him as much in the books, but I am liking him. I'm also kind of liking Kaz, who I found incredibly boring in the books, so that's good. One thing I would say, though, my favorite is Nina, and so far I'm not loving Nina, but I know that her story kind of gets more exciting as we go, so I will look forward to that. I would also say, so Genya and Zoya, I'm a little bit disappointed in the way that their characters are being portrayed. I thought in the books they were like really strong characters, and there's been like a couple of hints of that in this show, but not enough in my opinion. But anyway, I'm halfway through. We'll try and finish that. What else have I been reading? I didn't actually organize myself well enough to bring the books here to talk about them. Yesterday, in my infusion, I did not read very much. I never do, even though I have 3 hours of time there. But regardless, I read maybe 30 pages of Cousins. In this part, it's kind of moved on from when she was younger and visiting her family, and now she's moved out of the home, the boarding home that she was living in, and she's working, but all her pay goes to like her guardian. I can't really tell, like it's written in a certain way where it's quite simple, and it seems as well like she doesn't understand a lot of what's going on, and I'm trying to decide if it's implying that she has some kind of disability, but I can't tell if maybe it's just the writing style. So I guess I'll see as I read a bit more of that, what comes of that. As well, I finished off reading all the Giant Days graphic novels that I had, both the digital ones and the physical ones. So that's like another 6-7 volumes of that I read. I just really love it. We're now at the end of their second year of university. We're still having romantic dramas and school dramas and housing dramas, and I don't know. It's not amazing, but I just love it for some reason. I really care about all the characters and I like the art style. Although there were a couple of volumes, not the bigger collection volumes, but chapters. There are a couple of chapters where they'd obviously gotten in a different artist, and I hate it when they do that because then the characters don't even look right. Ugh. As well, I did read volumes 8 and 9 of The Girl from the Other Side by Nagabe. So this is a series about this young girl who's being taken care of by this demon-y type creature, and it seems like this demon creature has this curse that a lot of people catch. So they have the outsiders who are cursed, and then the rest of humanity is locked away in this city. But this little girl is outside and being looked after by this demon. Obviously, volume 8 and 9, a lot of things have happened. I just really love how it's really dark but also cute, but also kind of heartbreaking. And I have volume 10 on hold from the library, so hopefully it won't take too long to show up. I think it's a fairly new release though, so I'm nearly caught up on that series. And I put a hold on the rest of Giant Days from my library, so I should be able to catch up on that as well. I think that series is finished, so I should be able to finish it, which would be kind of sad. So I was thinking that I wouldn't have much time for catching up on my reading this weekend because I need to catch up on all the other things that I haven't been doing while I was sick. But actually, I'm doing okay with my reading. No, that's not true because there's only 1 week left of this month, and I still need to read 3.5 physical books to win my TBR, I guess. But I think I've accepted that it's okay because I was sick and like, shit happens, you know? Oh, the other thing that I was doing was listening to Clara in the Sun. Again, I didn't listen to that much because I was just enjoying listening to music in my car and singing along. So I did that instead. But I did listen to a little bit of Clara in the Sun, and it definitely feels like there's something suspicious going on with these children. So it seems like they're kind of homeschooled because it's some kind of futuristic situation. But they have these interaction parties so that they can learn how to interact with each other. But just, there's a few observations that Clara has made, and then this conversation between the parents that that made me like, what's happening with these children? But I haven't quite worked it out yet. So I'm quite enjoying that. I think in Kazuo Ishiguro's other book, Never Let Me Go, is kind of a similar thing, except in that one, I'd already seen the movie, so I knew what was going on. This time I don't know what's going on, so it's kind of exciting. Anyway, I do still have a big list of housework things that I want to finish off today, so I should go and finish them, and maybe I'll watch some more Shadow and Bone. Tomorrow, Jace and I are going away to stay at a local hotel. We won a night at the hotel. We seem to always win it when one of our birthdays is coming up, so my birthday is in like a week and a bit. So we're going to go and celebrate my birthday a week early, but it kind of worked out as the best time to do it. And it's a long weekend this weekend, so thank goodness, because I feel like I need some relaxation time.
Dancing to your beat, wanted to blend in, no self-expression, 'cause I wanted you to see I'm not so different, fit in your system, so why do you tell me I'm wrong when I say the same things that you say, and you double the standards because you only like your way, so keep running your mouth 'cause I'm tired of walking away.
Hello! So after my nice holiday, I am feeling much more rested and relaxed and maybe like properly healthy again. Although, still yesterday when I was working in the office, I didn't have enough energy to also vlog. But let me update you on my reading. I have been reading Clara and the Sun, and I'm like 75% of the way through now, and I think I mostly have an idea of what's going on now, which makes it really hard to talk about because I wouldn't want to give spoilers. And there is still something that Clara is trying to do, and I'm still not confident whether it's going to work or whether she's just massively misunderstanding things. But because there's so much about the world that you don't really understand because you're only getting Clara's perspective, it's hard to know which things are just different because they're futuristic and which things are different because her perspective is not explaining or understanding it properly. Anyway, I am really enjoying it, and the themes all about artificial intelligence and what that means. Again, so hard to talk about without spoilers, but I'm really enjoying it. Maybe not loving it, but I think also I'm not a fan of the audiobook narration, which never helps in terms of like feeling like you relate to the character. Also, the main character is this artificial intelligence, and so she's not entirely human, and her way that she approaches things is not human at all, so it's very hard to relate to her. I am going to try and finish that off maybe when I go for a walk this afternoon with my sister, and then as well I've got a couple of days commuting unfortunately for the rest of the week, so I should be able to finish it. Now as far as physical books go, the month ends at the end of the week, and I'm nowhere near having read all the books on my TBR. In fact, I think I'm not even going to make a May TBR. I'm just going to spend May trying to catch up on my April TBR, because what's the point in making a new TBR when I haven't even read all the books from the last one? Even though I have actually read quite a lot of books, but a lot of graphics and just random things. Anyway, what I am going to try and read by the end of the week is I'm going to try and finish this. I've had this on my plate for months now. I mean, I think I actually started it last year, and I read a couple of chapters last night. I think I've got like 150 pages left. And I am enjoying it. Because I know this is a 7-book series, there's all these interesting things happening, and I know they're not going to be wrapped up in this book. So that's kind of annoying. And then I'm going to want to pick up the next one. But also I'm just really slow at reading these because I feel like the writing style is quite dense and maybe not my favorite, but the world and these different characters and the way their stories interrelate I am interested in. So I guess I will keep pushing forward through it with it. I also think at the beginning of this book or the last book, all the characters kind of came together, and I did really like that, and I kind of wish all the characters would come back together again. Just I think it helps to move their stories forward a little bit more when they interact with each other, because everything that's happening to all the different characters, even though they're quite separate at the moment, they are also interrelated. This is another one where it's impossible to talk about without spoilers because it's the 3rd book in a massive series. Everything that's happening is spoilers for the 1st book. So I don't know, but I'm going to try and finish that. Now, as well, I'd really like to try and finish this month. I did finish reading the First Girls section, but I didn't really learn more, I think, from when I was last talking to you. So I've only got like another 200 pages to go, and these pages are much quicker to read than the other ones. But also, knowing that I have to go into the office for the next 2 days, is it realistic to expect myself to finish both of these? Probably not. So I'm going to prioritize the Burning Stone, and then I'll do Cousins after that. And we'll see how we go, I guess.
I'm scared to lose myself or to go, and all my shadows, they just don't know where to go. And life is like a dream where I walk down a long road, and when I wake up I just don't know where to go. I guess I'll never know.
Hello, so somehow it is Sunday. I don't know how that happened. I'm still just kind of catching up on everything. I'm feeling a lot better this week, but still I feel like I'm catching up on everything after being sick. Also, sorry if you can hear my washing machine. It needs to do the thing it needs to do. And as always seems to happen, I'm trying to decide, do I need to do something about these grays? Probably. I need to go to lighter hair so that my grays will camouflage in a bit, because I think having black hair makes even my blondie brown bits look grey, because I kind of have like ash blondie brown hair naturally, so it looks grey even if the bits that aren't. Against this, anyway, that's neither here nor there. Let's talk about reading. So I did manage to finish off Clara in the Sun during my commute at the end of the week, and I don't know how I feel about it. Like, I enjoyed the journey, but the ending was pretty unsatisfactory. I do think that there are some parallels to Never Let Me Go by the same author, but I can't really talk about those parallels without spoilers of both books. But I just think Clara in the Sun, so we're following this artificial intelligence, and there are a few points being made up throughout the book about artificial intelligence, and there's a few different things going on as well as this artificial friend Clara, but those things are kind of on the periphery, and Clara herself doesn't interact much with it or think much about it. And then the main thing that's going on with Clara is to do with this family that she's integrating into, but so much of what's actually emotional within the story, the emotions are being felt by people other than Clara, and she's just observing them, so it kind of disconnects you from the story. And then Clara has this weird thing going on with the sun. That's why the sun is in the title, and I still don't know what was real and what was not. And I guess maybe it's just meant to make you think about that. You could definitely say there's something in there about religion, but what exactly was the book trying to say? I don't know. Was it just trying to make you think about it? But I feel like there weren't enough ideas introduced to think about. It's more just triggering your own thinking. And I would like that to present me with more different perspectives than my own. But I guess if you're new to the idea of artificial intelligence, it's probably interesting, and it is kind of a different approach to it. So I did enjoy it, but the ending, I think there could have been a better ending. Definitely. Anyway, I don't think I've read anything else since I last talked to you. I don't know. Today, I'm going to try and finish this. I think I have read some of this a little bit, not very much. I've got about 100 pages left, so there's no reason why I shouldn't be able to finish it today. Like, if I read like 10 pages an hour, which I should be able to do, I could finish it. I could probably just sit here now and finish it, except that I do need to do some other things today. The first thing I need to do is just write a list and work out what all those things are. One is washing, which is why my washing machine is making noises in the background, but I think there's a lot more things. Maybe I need to do this today because maybe it's getting terrible, but I can't really be bothered doing that today. Oh no. I guess I'm going to go work out what I'm doing, and then I'll check back in when I finish this and let you know what I think about it. I think even though today is the 1st of May, if I finish this today, I'm just going to count it in my April reading. I think I've also decided that my May reading plans are just going to be finishing off my April reading plans with maybe a few extra audiobooks thrown in, because I don't think I finished any of the books on my TBR, or not any of the books off my physical TBR. This is from like multiple TBRs ago. So maybe May is just going to be a catch-up month, and I think that's necessary and okay. So I'm going to go work out what I'm doing, and I'll catch up with you guys later. In a second for you. Hello, so I dyed my hair and I tried to lighten it a bit, but instead all I've really done is end up with brown roots, and this is still the same as it was. I don't really want to like hardcore bleach it, but not sure how I'm going to get away from having this dark hair. I'll have to think up a strategy. Anyway, reading wise, I finally finished The Burning Stone. It's taken me so long, and I was trying to think about what actually happened in this book, because it's taken me so long to read it that I feel like the whole story has kind of come together in my head. Can you hear that? My oven just went off because my dinner is halfway ready. Give me a moment. Okay, I'm back. So it's taken so long for me to read this that I feel like it's kind of mixed in my head with the first two books, but I was thinking through, and I think I know where we were at the beginning of this book. Everyone was kind of together, and then we all went off on our separate adventures. And I kind of felt like at the end of this, everyone was going to come back together again. However, some things happened, and it was really exciting seeing how everyone's different plot threads were interacting finally. But not everybody came together. A couple of people went off in crazy directions. Was there maybe even some time travel? I'm not sure, but maybe. And I just feel like these books are so dense, and when I'm reading them, I struggle to get through them. And so I think maybe I should just not finish this series because it's such a struggle to get through. However, also, I'm really interested in the world and the characters, and I'm really invested in what eventually happens and learning more about the magic system and what's happening with the Crown of Stars and these magical gates that move between them, and like dragons and demons and elf type creatures that are maybe coming back to take back the world from humans. There's just so many different things going on with this. There's like these people with these big mechanical wings. We were having a big battle with them at the end. There's just so much going on in this series that I don't even feel like I can properly describe it, especially because I don't want to talk about spoilers. But I did really enjoy this, and so now I think I need to read the next book. I'll grab it and I'll show you what it's like. This is the next book in the series. Look at it. It's bigger than my head. Like, it's a different kind of book than this one, but it's about the same width, even though it's taller. I think the text size isn't exactly the same, but anyway, it's a chunker. And after this one, there's 4 more books in the series that are all like this or even bigger. Maybe this is the biggest one. No, I don't think it is. I think I just need to pretty much constantly be reading this series and read like a chapter every now and then, and just deal with the fact that it's going to take me forever to get through it. Or I was thinking actually, this one has parts, 4 parts, and so maybe I could treat each part as a book each month. Although I think the last part of this is like the second half of the book, so that's not going to work. But it might work for the first 3 parts. Maybe I just need to try and finish this by the end of the year, and then I can read the next 3 books next year or the next couple of years. Oh, I don't know. Anyway, I think I'm going to wrap up my vlog here. I think this was another 2-week reading vlog, but I'm still getting my life back together after being sick. I don't think I've posted a video in like 2 weeks or longer, but I really do want to get my shit together. So fingers crossed I'll survive this week, maybe, and manage to do what I'm planning to do. I just found out that I probably have to go into the office every day next week, which isn't going to help. But anyway, do let me know if you have read any of the books that I talked about in this video, because if you have, I would love to talk with you about them, or if you're interested in reading them, I'd also like to hear that. Otherwise, thank you so much for watching. I hope that you are doing well, and I will see you next time.